The Dominion ruled a vast stretch of space. Its fleets moved with precision, and its councils governed with unchallenged authority. Across countless star systems, its citizens lived confident in the strength of their civilization. Every species under its influence had learned to respect or fear the Dominion's power. To them, the galaxy was theirs to control, and nothing untested could ever stand against them yet. One quiet cycle changed everything. Deep within the Dominion's borders, sensors flickered to life. A small but organized fleet had entered Dominion space. It was unusual. The Dominion rarely detected unknown ships in their territory. When they did, these ships were often scattered, trembling, and disorganized. But this fleet, it was different. They moved steadily, deliberately. And without a trace of fear, Admiral Rana watched the readings from the command bridge of the human flagship Resolute. The stars streaked past in gentle glimmers as their fleet held formation. The humans did not speak loudly or shout commands. Their voices were calm, their gestures measured. Each pilot and crew member knew their role, and they carried it out without hesitation. Approaching coordinates, Rana said, his voice even. He did not tense. He did not frown. Around him, officers expected some sign of worry. Humans were still young compared to the Dominion, but there was none. Rana's calm radiated through the ship like a quiet pulse. "Signal the Dominion Council," he said. "Tell them we come to talk, not to bend." Back in the Dominion, alarm bells rang quietly in the halls of the council chambers. The council members, composed of various species, exchanged glances filled with disbelief. "They are human," whispered one of the senior delegates. "A blue-scaled Vercone named Tala." "Yes," said another, a winged Serati named Lauren. "They have crossed our border. They have not paused. They do not hesitate, and they do not communicate fear. This is unusual." Unusual did not begin to describe it. The Dominion was accustomed to young species trembling at their borders, begging for permission or mercy. Humans were different. Humans were... Audacious rumors spread quickly through Dominion channels. "Are they foolish?" one senator asked. "Are they reckless enough to challenge us?" "No," said another quietly. "Perhaps they hide a strength we do not yet see." The Dominion sent scouts to meet the fleet. Massive ships, built to intimidate with glowing shields and long-range cannons, moved to intercept the humans. Their leaders expected the humans to hesitate, to shrink back, or at the very least, show confusion. They expected nerves. Instead, the humans held formation. Their engines hummed steadily. Weapons remained silent. And no one flinched. Admiral Rana saw the Dominion scouts approaching and gave a single command: "Hold pattern. No sudden moves. Observe, do not provoke." The Dominion ships sent signals, flashing aggressive colors. They created noise and light meant to frighten. Yet the humans did not react. They did not blink, shift, or change course. They simply continued their approach, steady and calm. At the council chambers, the leaders murmured. "Why do they not respond?" Tala asked. "Perhaps they do not understand fear," Lauren replied. "Or perhaps their confidence comes from a strength we do not yet know." The humans finally reached the designated meeting area, a large artificial station floating silently in the void. The station was enormous, a hub of power and control. Here, Dominion delegates would meet the humans face to face. The humans docked with the station with precision. Every movement was deliberate. They did not rush. They did not stumble. When the airlocks opened, they did so with calm authority. Their uniforms were clean, their eyes steady, and their posture confident. Admiral Rana led the group. Behind him, crew members followed in a quiet line. No one rushed. No one panicked. Even the smallest gestures, hands resting calmly at sides, steady breathing. Focused eyes exuded confidence. The Dominion Council greeted them formally, expecting tension, nervous energy, or perhaps even subtle signs of fear. What they saw instead was a species that moved with quiet certainty. Humans did not bow excessively. They did not hesitate. They spoke directly, clearly, and respectfully. Rana's voice echoed through the chamber. "We come seeking understanding. We do not wish conflict, and we do not wish subservience. We only ask for a dialogue." The Dominion Council was unsettled. Silence followed. The Council had been trained to expect fear or urgency, but the humans displayed neither. This calm defiance, the absence of worry. The refusal to bend struck at something deep within the Dominion's perception of power. The meeting began. The Council's questions were sharp. "Why have you entered our territory without permission?" one delegate asked. "Do you not fear the consequences?" Rena's answer was simple. "We respect your borders. We do not fear the unknown. We believe that dialogue is the strongest way to prevent misunderstanding." It was an answer that made some council members scoff. Others frowned. But few could deny the clarity and sincerity in his words. Outside the chamber, Dominion spies observed human behavior. Every human on the station moved with calm focus. Engineers repaired small systems. Crews carried supplies. Even in the presence of a potentially hostile council, humans ate together, laughed quietly, and shared their tasks. Veckery, a Dominion scientist assigned to monitor the humans, became particularly curious. She observed them for hours. She noted their patience, their teamwork, and their unwavering focus. Her previous assumptions that humans were inexperienced and reckless began to waver. "They are not reckless," she whispered to her assistant. "They do not flinch because they are cautious. They flinch because they have learned patience. They face the unknown not with fear, but with preparation." The Council, still wary, decided to test the humans further. Orders went out for a small exercise, a challenge in navigation and communication. Dominion ships would attempt to force the humans into a display of obedience or hesitation. They expected subtle mistakes, signs of nervousness. Once again, the humans performed flawlessly. Their fleet moved in precise patterns, their communications were clear, and their coordination was impeccable. Not a single crew member showed panic or hesitation. The Dominion officers began to feel something new: respect. Still, curiosity mingled with caution. Why did humans act so confidently? Why did they not fear a civilization that had ruled countless systems for centuries? Admiral Rana, standing on the observation deck of Resolute, spoke quietly to his crew. "They will test us, yes. They will try to understand us. We must show them who we are, not through words, but through action. Steady hands, steady hearts. That is how we walk among the stars. Okay?" As night fell on the station, the humans continued their calm routine. They did not party or celebrate. They did not display aggression. They simply prepared for the challenges ahead, working together as a single, united force. Veckery watched them again, and this time she spoke openly. "They are not fearless because they are reckless. They are calm because they trust each other. And in that trust, they have strength we have not seen before." By the end of the cycle, one fact was clear. The Dominion had underestimated humans. They had assumed youth meant weakness. They had assumed inexperience meant fear. Yet here they were, humans entering the heart of Dominion space without a single flinch. For the first time, the Council realized that strength was not always measured in weapons or numbers. Sometimes strength was measured in courage, in trust, and in the quiet certainty that one could face the unknown without fear. Admiral Rana looked out at the stars from the bridge of Resolute. Ahead lay challenges, questions, and perhaps conflict. Yet in the calm light of distant suns, he felt nothing but confidence. Humans had entered the Dominion's territory, yes, but they had done so with a truth that no weapon could shake. They were steady. They were united. And they would face whatever came next without flinching. The galaxy would take notice. The Dominion Council sat in uneasy silence after the humans' arrival. Across the galaxy, rulers and generals had grown used to species trembling at their borders. Humans had done no such thing. They had walked into the Dominion's heart calmly, clearly confident in their own abilities. Now the Council faced a difficult question. How do we test this strange species? "This is unprecedented," said Tala, the blue-scaled Vraconi delegate. His voice carried the weight of centuries of experience. "No one has ever entered our space with such serenity. We cannot know what they are capable of until we test them. Lauren, the winged Serati, nodded. Agreed. We cannot allow unknown forces in our space without assessment. Prepare a controlled test. They will demonstrate their skills, their composure, and perhaps even their technology. Only then will we understand their true strength. Orders went out quickly. Dominion fleets prepared to escort the humans to a nearby station. The station itself was enormous, a hub for diplomacy, intelligence, and display of Dominion power. The Council wanted the humans to see their might, to test their courage without actually provoking them. When the humans received the orders, Admiral Rana studied them carefully. They wish to see our response, he said quietly to his officers. We will show them calm and discipline. We will respond, but we will not flinch. Keep formation. Observe, do not provoke. The human fleet moved steadily, keeping pace with the Dominion escort ships. The Dominion vessels were massive, armed with weapons that could destroy entire stations in moments. Their shields glowed bright, their engines hummed with power. These were intimidation tactics. Every species that had faced the Dominion fleet had faltered. Every species except humans. Human ships kept their distance, moving with precision. Pilots adjusted their course without hesitation, following protocols drilled into them for years. They were calm, focused, and unified. Dominion admirals exchanged anxious glances. Why do they not react? One asked. No fear, no hesitation. How is this possible? They are human, another said. Perhaps their confidence comes from ignorance. Perhaps they are foolish. But Vekari, the Dominion scientist, shook her head. No, I have studied them. Their calm is not ignorance. It is experience. They have faced chaos before. They endure because they trust themselves and each other. This is not foolishness. This is discipline. At the station, the Council had prepared a series of challenges. These were designed to push the humans to observe how they reacted under pressure. The first was simple. Navigate a simulated asteroid field. Dominion engineers activated holographic projections of moving obstacles, debris, rogue satellites, and dense clusters of asteroid fragments. The human pilots adjusted their ships with steady hands. Systems responded to their commands. Shields absorbed minor collisions, and engines maneuvered smoothly around the obstacles. Dominion observers expected panic, but there was none. Every human remained composed, communicating with precision. This is remarkable, whispered one of the Dominion officers. They navigate as if they have trained in the field for centuries. They have, said Vekari. Humans have always faced danger. Their history is one of adaptation. They are not reckless. They are prepared. The next test was more psychological. Dominion lights flashed in intense colors, beams projected across the station to disorient and intimidate. Loud noises shook the walls. Guards loomed over corridors in intimidating stances. Dominion leaders expected humans to show nervousness, to flinch or freeze under the pressure. Once again, the humans responded calmly. They moved with focus, ignored distractions, and continued their work. Engineers repaired systems even while alarms rang. Crew members communicated clearly and respectfully, their faces calm. Admiral Rana stood in the main control room, watching every movement. Do not respond to provocation, he said. Observe. Act with purpose. Do not react with fear, Bakori observed from a nearby balcony. She had studied humans closely and could not hide her admiration. They do not flinch, she said to herself. Not because they do not see danger, but because they face it with understanding. They are calm in chaos because they trust themselves and their companions. The Council decided to escalate the test. They activated Dominion escort ships in a simulated battle formation, hoping humans would show fear or confusion. The ships moved aggressively, surrounding the human fleet, their weapon systems glowing and warning. Still, the humans remained steady. Their formations adjusted carefully, shields aligned, and communications remained clear. The Dominion ships fired warning shots, energy pulses that streaked across the void, enough to trigger panic in any inexperienced species. The humans did not flinch. One human pilot, Lieutenant Aaron, adjusted the trajectory of his ship, and calmly said, "Maintain pattern. Observe their movement. Do not respond unless necessary." His words were simple, but his crew understood completely. Every human followed his instructions. The Dominion Council members leaned forward, astonished. "They do not fear us," Tala said, voice low. "They do not respond as we expected." "Why?" "They have something we do not," Vekri replied. "Discipline, unity, and courage. They face the unknown without panic. That is a power we cannot measure with weapons or numbers." As the tests continued, humans handled every challenge with remarkable skill. Dominion officers began to realize that these were not naive newcomers. They were a species that had survived, adapted, and thrived against odds that would have broken others. The Council decided to attempt one final tested direct challenge to human decision-making. A Dominion AI simulated a sudden collapse of station systems. Life support. Communications and docking protocols were disrupted in rapid succession. Dominion observers expected chaos, expecting humans to falter under pressure. Instead, humans coordinated instantly. Crew members took control of backup systems. Engineers patched failures, while others maintained communication. Pilots adjusted for irregular gravitational shifts, as if it were routine. Every human acted with purpose and precision. Admiral Rana walked calmly through the control room. "Trust your training. Trust each other. There is no panic here," he said quietly. Every crew member echoed his steadiness in their actions. Vikori observed in amazement. "They are flawless," she whispered. "Not because they are perfect, but because they have learned to work together. Their strength is in unity, in trust, and in calm judgment." By the end of the cycle, the Dominion Council had no choice but to acknowledge the truth. Humans were not reckless, nor naive, nor timid. They were disciplined, courageous, and united. The Council began to feel a strange mixture of respect and caution. They had underestimated this young species, and that mistake could have consequences. The humans, meanwhile, prepared for their return. They had completed the tests without fear, without hesitation, and without complaint. They had proven something far greater than skill or technology. They had proven character, the quiet, steady courage that comes from trusting oneself and one's companions. Admiral Rana gathered his officers in the briefing room. "The tests were expected," he said. "We passed not because of weapons, but because of our calm. Dominion officers expected us to flinch, but we did not. Remember this as we continue. Our strength comes from trust and unity, not arrogance or aggression." Even as humans prepared to depart, Dominion observers remained unsettled. The Council called another meeting, this time without the humans present. "They do not fear us," said Tala. "They are steady, calm, and coordinated. Every test we gave them, they handled without panic. They are more than they appear," Lauren added. "We cannot underestimate them. Their strength is not in weapons, it is in character." Corey, watching the humans leave, smiled quietly. "They walked into our space without flinching," she said. "And they did so not because they wished to challenge us, but because they trusted themselves. That is something few species can claim." As the human fleet moved away from the station, their engines leaving gentle streaks of light across the void, one truth became clear. The Dominion had encountered a species unlike any other. The humans had entered their territory boldly, calmly, and with purpose. And in doing so, they had left a lasting impression, a message that would spread across the galaxy. Humans are not to be underestimated. The Dominion's fleets returned to their routines. But their officers and scientists could not forget what they had witnessed. Every maneuver, every decision, every calm action of the humans echoed in their minds. For the first time in centuries, a species had challenged their assumptions without a single weapon raised, without a single flinch shown, and humanity, confident and united, sailed steadily onward, ready for whatever came next in the galaxy. The Dominion Council was still in quiet discussion days after the human fleet had left the central station. Their tests had been completed, yet one thing remained unclear: the true extent of human capabilities. The Council could not ignore a species that entered their territory without hesitation, without fear, and without a single flinch. While the Council debated, Dominion intelligence quietly took over. They sent cloaked observation vessels to follow the human fleet. These small, nearly invisible ships drifted through the void, scanning, recording, and analyzing every movement the humans made. The humans were unaware. To them, the galaxy was open space, filled with stars, planets, and the occasional Dominion station. They moved steadily, calmly, and with purpose. Even when Dominion surveillance ships appeared near their path, they did not react in anger or suspicion. They treated the situation as routine, continuing their duties and trusting in their own protocols. On board one of the Dominion observation vessels, the young scientist Veckery watched with growing curiosity. She had been assigned to study the humans in secret, to uncover the source of their unusual composure. Her initial reports had focused on their calm demeanor during tests. But this observation mission revealed something deeper. They are organized. Veckery whispered to her assistant, a small drone hovering beside her. Every crew member knows their role. Every action is deliberate. This is not simple discipline, it is a way of life. The human fleet passed through asteroid belts, navigated around unstable star systems, and traveled through nebulae that could scramble sensors. Dominion intelligence expected at least some hesitation or error. Yet humans adjusted instantly to every hazard, correcting minor deviations without stress. Pilots communicated clearly, engineers made rapid repairs, and command officers coordinated everything as if they had trained for. Centuries in such conditions, Veckery's assistant chirped in surprise. They never panic? They face danger as a challenge, not a threat, Veckery explained. Their calm is not indifference. It is understanding. They know what they can handle, and they trust each other completely. Even more striking was the human social behavior. On the human flagship Resolute, crew members shared meals, discussed strategies openly, and laughed quietly together even in the presence of potential enemies. Dominion observers had never seen such composure. In every species the Dominion controlled, fear and suspicion were normal reactions in unknown territory. Humans displayed neither. One observation session revealed a small repair team outside the fleet's engines. A minor meteor impact had caused damage to the hull of one vessel. Dominion sensors could detect the stress in the ship's structure. Most species would panic, calling for immediate help, showing fear of losing life or equipment. The humans, however, worked calmly. They analyzed the damage, deployed repair drones, and coordinated their efforts efficiently. Within moments, the hull was restored, and the ship resumed its steady course. Veckery leaned closer to the viewing screen. They do not panic, she said. They face problems head-on, relying on skill, trust, and teamwork. It is extraordinary. They are. Remarkable. Her words were cautious. Veckery knew the Council would not understand this immediately. They would see humans as young, unpredictable, or reckless. But in her eyes, the human strength lay not in their weapons or shipsit, lay in their unity, their trust, and their courage. Dominion spies followed the fleet across multiple star systems, observing as humans interacted with uncharted planets. On one barren planet, the human team deployed scientific instruments to study its surface. Dominion observers expected tension, expecting the humans to act cautiously or fear the unknown. Yet humans worked quickly, efficiently, and safely. Each member took their position, shared instructions calmly, and completed the task without error. Even when an unexpected storm rose on the planet's surface, humans adjusted immediately. Shields were activated, equipment was secured, and personnel moved with clear coordination. Dominion sensors recorded no panic, no hesitation, and only smooth, disciplined action. Veckery's curiosity deepened. This calm is not learned in months or years, she said. It is in their nature. They endure hardship, face danger, and act with unity. They are steady because they must survive, and they do so together. Back on the flagship Resolute, Admiral Rana observed the same storm from the bridge. Team, focus on each step, he instructed. Adjust for conditions, but do not rush. Calm decisions are stronger than panic. His voice was calm, but it carried authority. The crew responded without question. Every order was executed with precision. Even the Dominion surveillance vessels could not ignore the humans' discipline. Pilots and crew adjusted their responses to environmental hazards faster than any Dominion algorithm could predict. They showed creativity and adaptability, improvising solutions while maintaining structure and order. Dominion intelligence reports labeled it as unpredictable efficiency. Vicori could not contain her admiration. "They are not fearless," she explained to a colleague. "They understand fear and risk, but they act in spite of it. They have mastered control over themselves and their environment. That is what makes them dangerous in ways we cannot measure with weapons." The humans continued their journey through Dominion space. They passed colonies, research stations, and even small fleets of Dominion patrol ships. Everywhere they went, humans were calm, cooperative, and efficient. They did not provoke, they did not retaliate, they did not flinch. On board the observation vessel Viker reviewed the data from multiple systems. She began to see patterns how humans relied on clear communication, shared responsibility, and trust. In every challenge, they maintained unity. In every unexpected event, they adapted. And in every interaction with potential adversaries, they showed respect, honesty, and courage. "They do not fight recklessly," Vickery said. "They do not boast. They do not deceive. They are honest, disciplined, and capable of extraordinary action because of their cooperation." Vicori's report to the Council became increasingly significant. The Council, initially skeptical of her findings, now faced undeniable evidence. Humans were not naive, reckless, or simple. They were confident, adaptable, and united. In one encounter, the human fleet passed near a Dominion outpost that monitored energy anomalies. A sudden surge in the system caused power fluctuations. Dominion officers expected panic, expecting confusion, or delayed response. But humans acted instantly. Engineers diverted energy, pilots adjusted for system instability, and command officers coordinated the recovery. All actions were calm, precise, and effective. No error occurred. Dominion observers were astonished. "It is not their ships that are impressive," Vicori said quietly. "It is their minds, their discipline, and their trust in one another. That is strength beyond any weapon." Humans finally reached a distant system, far from the central Dominion stations. Here, they paused briefly to analyze their journey and prepare for future missions. Dominion observers noticed how they shared information openly, worked together in planning, and corrected minor mistakes calmly without blame. For Vickery, the lesson was clear: humans were extraordinary not because of their technology, but because of their character. Dominion species often relied on intimidation, hierarchy, and fear to maintain control. Humans relied on trust, cooperation, and courage. Where Dominion power was imposed, human power was earned through unity. When the observation fleet returned to Dominion space to report, Vicori's findings were presented to the Council. She spoke honestly, without exaggeration. "They are not fearless because they are reckless. They are fearless because they understand themselves. They trust each other completely. In every test, in every challenge, they have shown patience, skill, and courage. They are a species that acts as one, and that is something no Dominion fleet has yet encountered." The Council was silent. Vicori's words carried weight. They had underestimated humans. They had assumed youth meant weakness. They had assumed inexperience meant fear. Yet here were humans moving through Dominion space, calm, confident, and capable without a single flinch. Admiral Rana, unaware of the full extent of Dominion observation, continued his fleet's journey. He reviewed logs, planned future courses, and encouraged his crew. "Trust in each other," he said. "Respect the unknown and act with calm. That is how we succeed." The humans' reputation quietly began to grow. Rumors spread through Dominion channels about a species that entered their space boldly, that handled every challenge with calm, and that moved as one. Officers who had witnessed their actions began to question long-held assumptions. Valkyrie, watching the human fleet disappear among the stars, finally smiled. "They are not just brave," she said softly. "They are steady, united, and extraordinary. Humanity has a strength we are only beginning to understand." Across the galaxy, humans moved forward, unaware of the growing respect they had earned, confident in their unity, and ready for whatever challenges awaited them next. The humans had been traveling through Dominion space for several cycles, steadily charting new star systems and mapping routes that had never been explored before. To the Dominion, this was remarkable. To the humans, it was routine. Calm, focused, and united, they moved as one fleet, never hesitating, never flinching. But the galaxy held unexpected dangers. A sudden cosmic storm began to form near the edge of the Dominion's territory. The storm was unlike any the humans had encountered, a swirling mass of high-energy plasma, magnetic anomalies, and unstable gravitational pockets. It expanded rapidly, threatening to engulf several stations, including the one where humans had met the Dominion Council. Dominion fleets scrambled to stabilize their stations. Their shields strained against the storm's unpredictable energy, and their ships struggled to maintain control. Panic began to rise among the crews. Even the most disciplined officers could not hide their concern. From the bridge of the human flagship Resolute, Admiral Rana studied the storm's patterns calmly. He did not shout. He did not rush. "We have trained for uncertainty," he said quietly to his officers. "Prepare shields, stabilize engines, and maintain formation. Observe the storm. Understand it. Adapt." Every human followed without question. Engineers ran diagnostics while maintaining calm voices. Pilots adjusted for fluctuating gravitation fields, correcting minor deviations before they became dangerous. Crew members communicated with clarity and focus, every word precise and every movement deliberate. Dominion observers, hiding in cloaked vessels nearby, watched in astonishment. This storm had caused fear and hesitation in even the most veteran Dominion crews. Yet humans moved through it as if it were routine, a series of challenges, not threats. The storm intensified. Plasma arcs streaked across the void, sending pulses of energy toward nearby stations. One Dominion station, crucial for communications, began to falter. Its shields flickered and structural stability alarms blared. Dominion commanders expected chaos, but the humans responded instantly. Lieutenant Aaron, the pilot who had guided the human fleet through countless hazards, adjusted his course while maintaining calm communication. "We need to stabilize the station. Shields first. Coordinate with backup generators. Keep the station aligned with our trajectory. Everyone, focus." Engineers on the station followed these instructions without hesitation. Drones were deployed to reinforce weakened shield sections. Manual adjustments were made to control nodes. Communication channels remained clear, concise, and organized. The humans acted as a single entity, each member trusting the others completely. From their observation point, Valkyrie could barely contain her awe. "They do not panic," she whispered to her assistant. "Every Dominion ship would be on the brink of failure, and yet they move with purpose. They face chaos, yet maintain complete control. This is extraordinary." Despite the storm's fury, the human fleet continued forward. They adjusted flight paths in real time, accounting for gravitational anomalies, plasma bursts, and unpredictable energy surges. Where most species would have faltered, the humans adapted smoothly. Their discipline and unity allowed them to survive the storm without error. As they approached the failing Dominion station, Admiral Rana made his move. "We will stabilize it before the storm fully strikes," he said. "Coordinate with all teams. Execute calmly. Do not act hastily." Human ships moved in tandem with the station's defense systems. Shields were reinforced, engines were synchronized, and life support was stabilized. Engineers worked in zero-gravity zones outside the station, tethered to repair nodes while plasma arcs flashed dangerously nearby. Pilots navigated their ships with precision, using every advantage of speed, angle, and timing to shield the station from the worst of the storm. Vekri recorded every action, her reports growing longer with admiration. "Every human moves with calm purpose," she said. "They anticipate problems, respond instantly, and trust each other completely. This is not luck, it is training, experience, and character combined. That is what makes them extraordinary." The Dominion Council had sent a few fleets to assist, but their crews were hesitant. Many faltered under the storm's pressure, unsure of their decisions and overwhelmed by fear. Yet the humans remained steady. Where Dominion ships struggled, human crews coordinated solutions and guided the faltering vessels to safety, even in the face of intense danger. Humans never showed panic. When a plasma burst threatened one of their smaller support ships, the crew executed a flawless rescue maneuver, tethering the damaged vessel and guiding it safely out of the storm's path. Dominion observers could hardly believe what they saw. Admiral Rana addressed his crew calmly as the storm raged around them. "Every step is deliberate. Trust your training. Trust each other. One mistake could be fatal. We are a team. We move together." The storm reached its peak intensity. Lightning-like plasma arcs ripped through the void. Gravitational turbulence shifted entire fleets, and energy surges threatened to collapse stations. Yet humans worked tirelessly, coordinating repairs, guiding ships, and maintaining calm across multiple fronts. Vekri, witnessing it all, could not hold back her respect. "They do not fear destruction," she said quietly. "They face it as part of life, as part of challenge. And they endure. They endure together." After several cycles of intense effort, the storm began to abate. Human coordination had prevented disaster. The Dominion station remained intact. Smaller vessels were saved. Communication lines were restored. The human fleet emerged from the storm with minimal damage, their calm composure intact. Dominion observers, once skeptical, now understood the truth. Humans were not fearless because they did not understand danger. They were fearless because they had trained themselves to endure it. They trusted in their own skills, in each other, and in their unity. The Dominion Council convened immediately after receiving reports from the observation fleet. Their debate was heated, though tinged with admiration. "They faced the storm without hesitation," Tala said. "Even our most experienced officers could not maintain composure under such conditions. Yet humans, they moved as one, adapting instantly. They do not rely on fear to guide them," Lauren added. "They rely on trust, discipline, and courage. That is a type of strength we rarely encounter," Vekri spoke up. "It is more than strength. It is character. They face the unknown and act with purpose. Every member is part of the whole. They do not panic. They do not blame. They adapt. That is what makes them extraordinary." Admiral Rana, unaware of the Council's discussion, gathered his officers for a debrief. "The storm was a challenge," he said. "We responded with calm, coordination, and unity. That is our strength. Remember this as we continue through Dominion space. Our greatest weapon is not firepower. It is our ability to act together, to trust each other, and to face the unknown without fear." As the human fleet moved onward, the Dominion fleets and stations that had witnessed the storm quietly spread the story. Across Dominion channels, a new message emerged. A species had survived one of the galaxy's most dangerous storms without a single flinch. Their composure, skill, and teamwork had prevented catastrophe. Vekri's report to the Council summarized the event. The humans faced an unpredictable cosmic storm. They coordinated actions across multiple ships and stations. They adapted to environmental hazards, saved vessels, and stabilized critical systems. At no point did they panic. Their calm, discipline, and unity allowed them to act where others would falter. Their strength lies not in weapons or technology, but in character, trust, and courage. Humanity is unlike any species the Dominion has encountered. The Council listened in silence. For the first time, a species that had entered their territory was not only respected, they were feared not for aggression, but for their extraordinary ability to endure, adapt, and overcome as the humans passed beyond the storm. The galaxy seemed to acknowledge their achievement. Stars gleamed like silent witnesses. Nebulae stretched across the void as if marking the path of those who had faced the impossible and emerged unbroken. Admiral Rana looked at the stars from the bridge of Resolute. "We have faced danger and endured," he said quietly. "That is what it means to be human. We do not flinch. We do not hesitate. And we do not face the unknown alone. Trust and unity are our guides." The fleet continued its mission, confident, calm, and prepared for whatever the galaxy would present next. Dominion intelligence and council members alike would remember this event. Humans had shown their true strength not through weapons, nor threats, nor brute force, but through courage, discipline, and teamwork. For the Dominion, this was a turning point. A species that entered their territory with confidence had survived one of the galaxy's deadliest natural threats without faltering. Across star systems, whispers spread. Humanity was steady, united, and extraordinary, and across the stars, humans moved forward. Unaware of the full impression they had made, confident in their unity, and ready for the next challenge the galaxy might throw in their path. The storm had passed, leaving the Dominion station intact and its fleets shaken with awe. Across the council chambers, the leaders debated quietly but fervently. Never had a species faced their space so boldly and emerged unbroken from such danger. The humans had shown calm under pressure, unity in chaos, and courage that could not be measured by weapons. VAKORI. The Dominion scientist who had closely observed humanity stood before the council once more. Her reports, once treated with skepticism, now carried undeniable weight. "They are not fearless because they are reckless," she said. "They are fearless because they have learned to endure, to trust, and to act as one. Humanity possesses a strength we cannot ignore." Some council members frowned. "But they are young," one said. "They have not fought wars on our scale. How can they compare?" Vekri shook her head. "Strength is not only measured in battles fought. It is measured in character, in courage, and in unity. In every challenge, they have shown that they act together, that they do not flinch, and that they can face the unknown without fear. That is a type of power we rarely encounter." Meanwhile, the human fleet moved steadily beyond the storm, charting new systems and returning to their diplomatic course. Admiral Rana stood on the bridge of Resolute, observing the vastness of space before them. The fleet had faced a storm of unprecedented danger, and every human had acted with calm and precision. "Report," Rana said quietly. Lieutenant Aaron spoke up. "All systems stable. Fleet intact. Stations and vessels secured. No further anomalies detected." "Good," Rana replied. "Prepare course for the next system. We continue our mission as planned. Remember, trust, calm, and unity are our guides. That is what makes us strong." As the human fleet continued, Dominion observers recorded every movement. Dominion fleets had returned to their routines, but their officers and scientists could not stop discussing what they had seen. A species had faced a deadly storm without fear, without hesitation, and without flinching. Their discipline, teamwork, and courage had prevented disaster. Rumors spread through Dominion space. Stories of humans acting calmly in the heart of a storm, of saving stations and ships without losing cohesion, captured the attention of leaders and civilians alike. Many species had heard of human courage before, but these events proved that their reputation was not exaggerated. Humans were not merely bold, they were extraordinary. Back aboard Resolute, the human crew celebrated quietly. There were no loud parties or displays of arrogance. Engineers repaired minor equipment, pilots reviewed star charts, and officers discussed strategies for upcoming missions. The celebration was simple, calm, and purposeful. Humanity had proven themselves once again, not by showing force, but by demonstrating character. Vekri, observing from a Dominion outpost, recorded her final notes. "Humans do not seek conflict. They do not boast. They do not act recklessly. Their power lies in unity, trust, and calm judgment. They face every challenge with purpose and endure hardships together. That is a strength beyond measure, and it demands respect. The Dominion Council called a final meeting to address the humans' conduct. For the first time, they were not discussing how to intimidate or control a species. They were considering how to engage with one they could not underestimate. They are unlike any species we have encountered, Allah said. They move through our space without fear, facing storms and danger without flinching. They have earned our attention, if not our admiration. They are young, Lauren added, but their courage and unity are extraordinary. They are not reckless. They are disciplined. They are capable of greatness. The council reached a decision. Humans would be invited to join diplomatic channels, explore joint missions, and engage in trade and scientific collaboration. The council recognized that humanity's strength was not in weapons or aggression, but in their courage, discipline, and unity. They were a species that could stand as an equal, not an enemy. On the human fleet, news of the council's decision reached Admiral Rana. He nodded quietly. "We have earned their respect," he said. "Not through threat, not through force, but through calm, unity, and courage. That is what makes us strong. That is humanity." As the fleet prepared to leave Dominion territory, Vekari made one last observation. "They walked into our space without fear," she said softly. "They did so not because they sought challenge, but because they trusted themselves and each other. That is a lesson few species will ever truly understand." Across the galaxy, whispers spread of the humans' deeds. Scientists studied their methods, military officers reconsidered their strategies, and ordinary citizens told tales of a species that moved steadily in the heart of danger. Humans had proven something remarkable. True strength did not always come from force or intimidation. Sometimes it came from unity, courage, and calm determination. As the human fleet departed Dominion space, Admiral Rana looked at the stars. "The galaxy is vast," he said. "We will face challenges. Yes, but we will face them together. Calm, steady, and united. We will continue to explore, to understand, and to endure. That is what it means to be human." The fleet glided through the stars, leaving behind a trail of wonder and admiration. Dominion fleets and stations that had witnessed their journey could not forget it. A new understanding had formed. Humans were not to be underestimated. They had entered Dominion space without flinching, survived a deadly cosmic storm, and emerged stronger and united. Vekari's final words to her colleagues captured the essence of humanity. They do not act out of fear or arrogance. They act out of understanding, trust, and courage. They are united, disciplined, and extraordinary. Humanity has walked into our territory without fear, and they leave a mark that will be remembered for generations. We have witnessed a species that stands tall, no matter the challenge. In the quiet of the void, the human fleet continued its journey. Stars shimmered as if recognizing their presence. Nebulae stretched across space like silent witnesses, and planets glimmered in the distance. Humanity moved forward, confident in their unity, calm in their courage, prepared for the unknown. The galaxy, vast and unpredictable, would take notice. And across Dominion space, one message became clear. Humans were not merely a young species. They were strong in ways the galaxy had never seen, steady in ways the Dominion had never anticipated, and united in ways that could never be broken. Admiral Rana watched the fleet move as one, a single organism of purpose and courage. "We have shown them who we are," he said. "Not through weapons, not through dominance, but through trust, calm, and unity. That is what makes humanity extraordinary. That is what will guide us in the stars." The fleet sailed onward, leaving Dominion space behind, carrying with them a reputation that would echo across the galaxy. Across countless star systems, stories of human courage and unity would spread. They had entered the heart of Dominion territory without a single flinch, and the galaxy would never forget it, and humanity, confident, united, and calm, moved forward ready for the next challenge, ready to face the unknown, and ready to show the galaxy the true meaning of courage.